Welcome to the Foxhole, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, chat.
Two things. One, apologies about the Daily Cogs issue. I have not yet set it up for this channel. I have only gotten it set up for the main channel. I still have a lot to do, so I will be working on that tomorrow night and Monday, so that it'll all get sorted on the next one. So apologies. The mix it up and all the redeem stuff aren't going to work on this stream. Instead, you know what I'll do is that if you hit Daily Cogs to do that, I will go back through the chat for the stream, and I will record it all, and I would just give you those cogs the next time you show up on a stream. How about that? So I think that's as good as I can get you right now. Well, because the main thing is I didn't know. I thought that I could just like switch profiles, but I can't do that. I have to make a whole new profile for this channel and then just duplicate everything over here. So that's going to take some time. But other than that, Rosa is here with me, as always.
Hi.
Rosa is not feeling well, as I'm sure you know from King of the Castle. So I'm going to truncate this one a decent amount. I'm going to keep this one to under 3 hours, just so Rosa can get some rest earlier rather than later. So I hope everybody is okay with that. Yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. So, with that, let me say hello to everybody. Hi, Marku. Hello, NDA. Hi there, Villain. Hi, Typing. Good to see you all, as always. So we got a few fun little stories to talk about today. But first, how have you been, Rosa? Besides the obvious being sick.
I've been good. I've been okay. I've just been going through this week.
Yeah, I feel like this week's been like the last couple of weeks have been kind of rough.
Yeah. Last week I didn't really get to stream at all, and then this week's just been a slog.
Yeah, a lot of bullshit happening.
Like shit. Started out good. Yeah.
Considering your streaming, your funding has actually gone pretty well considering how much you streamed this week.
Yeah.
Anything in particular, or?
I had fun playing Monster Hunter. That was good.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the beta came out. It's got like a little bit of new stuff.
I'm really glad I played it day one rather than planning to play it later, considering that PlayStation has been down.
Oh yeah, the PS Network has been down for like the last 12 hours. I think it's the second.
More than that.
Oh, it's longer than that. It's
like 30 hours.
Oh my god, it's been like the second longest outage I think in PlayStation history. The last time it was down for like almost 2 weeks, like way back in like 2011 or something like that.
Do you want me to close the door while the cats aren't in here?
Sure.
Okay.
You want to order something to eat?
Huh?
You want to order something to eat?
That's fine.
That's
You
fine.
want Taco Bell?
No.
What do you want? Oh, baby.
Lizard Squad? Yes, Lizard Squad.
You know what else I just noticed is that the Streamlabs chat box isn't working on this channel either. Okay, yeah, I definitely got some troubleshooting to do. That's what happens when you just decide on a whim at 10 o'clock at night to just make a new channel and split the content. I wasn't like planning to do it when I did it. I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna do it right now because why the hell not? I just did it.
Oh no.
I don't really have that eventful of a week either, to be honest. It's been very much business as usual for me. Nothing like super special IRL or in gaming. I mean, I've just been playing the normal games that I've been playing on stream. I've been playing the new Dynasty I've been playing the new Dynasty Warriors game, which is just like a mean, there's nothing to it. It's just it's like kill. It's just slaughter thousands of people over and over again. That's all there is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just Dynasty Warriors. They're all the same. I really wish that it feels lazy, the whole like unknown origin hero that you play as in this game, because you're literally just you get to give the character a name and that's it, and the character never speaks. There's zero customization, no voice, and there's like, I don't know, 12, maybe 10 or 12 weapons.
Lazy.
And it is. It's super lazy, and I don't like it. I wish you could just pick to play as any of the actual characters. Like the whole, like, what's the point of this stupid origin story? It's dumb. There's no reason for it. But the gameplay is fun enough, I guess. So
Okay.
I guess been kind of grinding away at that. And, I've mainly, honestly, just been like looking forward to Monster Hunter and Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, which don't come until the end of the month. I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to start streaming Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 next week. I'm gonna finish Ninja Gaiden on Monday. And I'm gonna play Kingdom Come, and
I've lost interest in that game.
Which game?
Kingdom Come.
Oh,
Deliverance.
Kingdom. Is it just
I was
because of
excited for it.
all the fucking drama that's around it?
Just so much fucking bullshit. I'm just tired of it, dude. I just don't want to touch it.
Oh yeah, that's why I guess said I don't care. I'm just gonna play it because I just checked out of that shit like days ago. I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. I want to play it, so I'm gonna play it, and that's it. So
I had the opposite feeling. I'm like, I'm not interested in nothing less. I don't
yeah.
have enough investment or interest in it to be like, I'm gonna make myself play this game.
Oh yeah, I'm playing it because I've always been interested in it, and that's it. So honestly, I don't even know. I'm probably not even gonna do a full playthrough of it. It's probably just gonna be like 1 or 2 streams. I don't know. I plan on doing a stream where I guess you could just womanize as much as I possibly can.
Fair enough. Yeah, I remember the mentality. It's like I shouldn't be spending money on games I know I'm probably not gonna even like. So
Yeah, if you're on the fence about something,
I'm exactly like, unless I'm like super excited to play like I'm for Monster Hunter, I just can't validate that expense. I really can't, especially with the way this last couple weeks have been. Like, I just can't.
yeah, I get it. That's the thing. Like the base rate for that game is $70. Like fuck.
That's wild.
Yeah, when I brought it up on PlayStation, it defaulted to like the deluxe edition, which is like $90. And I was like, "Is there a normal version?" And then the normal version was $70, and I was like, "Geez, okay." I mean, I was eventually gonna play it anyway, but I'm just like,
Yeah, that's the new default. That's the
Yeah,
new default for console games.
it
It's
really
70 now.
is. Fucking ridiculous, man.
Remember back before the PS3 when games were 50?
No.
I remember.
Oh man. But yeah, other than that, I'm gonna finish Ninja Gaiden next week. That game's been a lot of fun. That game's been really fun. And then yeah, I'm just basically just like I said, waiting on Monster Hunter and Yakuza. Everything else that's coming out, there's a bunch of shit coming out this month, but like the other two I think are Civ 7, Civ 8, Civ 20, whatever it is, and Avowed, which is getting like no, run up hype. It seems like. So I have a feeling that Monster Hunter is going to gobble up every bit of game,
Yep.
every single player this month. So, but yeah, that's pretty much that was a really short weekly review, but that's okay. If not much happens. The only
thing I can think of note is finally took pay to like the doctor, to the what's it called? It's like the health something.
OBGYN.
No, it's health department.
Oh.
Because they supposedly did they do like free pregnancy tests there, and they supposedly did blood tests, but when they were like, nope, we don't do blood tests no more. So we still don't know whether or not Pedro's pregnant.
You didn't have to pay anything, did you?
No.
Okay, well, at least you didn't get fleeced.
Yeah.
That's annoying. At this point, I want her to be pregnant because otherwise there's something seriously wrong with her.
Yeah. Well, she hasn't been having symptoms the last few days. Ironically, when she stopped having symptoms, I started feeling sick.
Oh God. She like magically transferred the pregnancy
It's
over to
crazy.
you.
I've been having like horrible headaches, feeling like throwing up, feeling dizzy, like nauseous. Just constantly. I've been having tummy aches, dude. I don't normally have tummy aches. I'm not a tummy acheist, but I've been having tummy aches.
I mean, you think it might be just stress?
Maybe. I don't know.
Like I tweeted about this, but I haven't been able to go to bed for the last 4 days before 2 a.m.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I don't want to take pills because pills will just be, treating the symptom but not actually getting at what's causing me to be losing all this sleep.
Yeah.
But I honestly think it's just stress related. I
Maybe.
think that's what it is.
Maybe.
There's this massive project that's going to drop like within the next week or so at my job. I'm just like, I'm kind of afraid of it, honestly, because it's a really big deal. So I think I've been stressing out about that and a few other things, and it's just like I'm still getting like,
Yeah, maybe.
I'm still getting settled in at the house, and like I've been like trying to help my mom plan this Japan trip in April. Which, by the way, chat, figuring like getting information about hotels in Japan is a fucking nightmare. It is unbelievable how difficult it is to nail down all the information about things in Japan. Because the thing is, like in Japan, they not every room has its own toilet. They have hotels that have shared bathrooms. They're just like public restrooms at like a restaurant, essentially. They're they have what are called like they have Western style rooms versus Japanese style rooms. In Japanese style rooms, there are no chairs. It's all like those the seats on the floor with the low furniture. And it's like my parents. I'm going on vacation with my parents. They're not going to deal with that shit, So like we have to, and like the beds, like they call it like sleeps two, but like sleeps two, it means two normal sized Japanese people, which means one American, So like we looked at pictures and it's like there's no way that bed can fit two people, and I'm just like, Mom, two Japanese people. So it's been like ridiculous just trying to, and they're expensive. They're fucking expensive. Like we're talking like an average of like $200 a night for like a really bare bones fucking hotel, whereas you're spending half that for a bare bones hotel in America. So it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's difficult to get information on. And it's just...
I've been talking about our planned trip for March, because after what happened last time that we went, we kind of don't want to stay at my mom's place.
Oh, yeah.
But also getting a hotel is fucking expensive. We're going to get it for like basically a week.
Oh, God. In Miami?
Yeah. Not in Miami, but near Miami. I was thinking about getting the same hotel that we got last time as she came. Because it's in the, it's on like Indian reservation land. And so it's like a hotel casino, and since they make all their money off the casino, they don't charge as much for the hotel side.
Okay.
So you end up with like a really nice like 4-star hotel for the price of like a normal like 2-star hotel.
Okay.
But that's still like 100 something a night.
Yeah, and if you're gonna stay there a week, you're talking like close to $1,000, all said and done, probably.
Yeah. Like last time she came, I think we had like we stayed for 3 nights. I think I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And total was like 400 something.
You should do like a formal fundraising stream.
No.
I think you should. You need it. how's Patho's job prospects looking? If you don't mind me asking.
No idea. That reminds me, she said she got a message about it earlier when she was streaming. I was laying in bed, so I have no idea.
The one that she'd have to go get trading for a week in the other
I
city.
have no idea.
Hmm.
I have no clue. She applied to some other places the other night, so I have
Hmm.
no idea. But yeah, I think the idea that maybe it's stress that's likely actually, like lots of.
Yeah.
I mean, I just straight up made nothing last week, right? And then this week it's like getting it weekly. So, and then I've also been dealing with this shit with like my family
Mhm.
back at home because even though I'm in another fucking state, my mother does not cease to stress me the fuck out.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Financial stress is always like the worst. I swear. Like, it's actually like it's the number one cause of couples breaking up. Actually, and divorces is financial stress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about like how about this. Like the financial stress, like the least worrisome part. If that makes any sense. Like it's just like it's everything else. You know.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I get that. I have had I remember when I was doing my master's thesis, I had like several nights where I was literally like rolled up in a ball in the bathtub with the shower on, and it was like ice cold water because I had run the whole building's hot water supply out. I'd been in there so long, just
Yeah.
freaking the fuck out over like getting my thesis done in time, stuff like that, and like having enough money for food and all that stuff. And it's like, man, it's fucking rough. So, well, I really do hope your situation improves soon.
Yeah. I
think it will.
Fucking headaches. Can fucking stream.
Yeah.
Onto the news stuff?
Yeah, we could go on to the news. Okay, so let's see here. The first big story, and what I'm going to do is I initially had two like big lead stories, but for the sake of cutting on time, I'm just going to do the bigger one. So let me get my.
Hey, what are they?
This. So the first one is we're going to do a comprehensive overview of the saga of the rapid downfall of USAID. USAID. I don't know why people don't say USAID. They say USAID. I don't know why. And I guess like the big like tip of the spear kind of action that Elon and DOGE have conducted against the federal government.
I do want to say, I think it's funny how, like, was it like last week, the week before, when like people were talking about how like, oh yeah, at this rate, you know, Elon's only gonna, you know, manage to like save about 2% of what he said he wants to save. Blah 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 blah. He said he wants to save 2 trillion, right? And then now, like, it's like the second he dug into USA, it's like, oh, well, there it is. there's 2 trillion.
Well, it's not that. It's about 40 to 50 billion. So
that's still quite a bit.
It's a lot. It's a lot, but the thing is that USAID is not like a huge portion of the federal budget either. You know, and I think that it was actually really smart for them to target USAID first, because you see here, this is where it all started. You know, the reevaluating and realigning United States foreign aid is an executive order that was signed by Trump on inauguration date on the 20th of January. You know, so this was like one of the first things that he actually enacted. This was one of the first targets, and it's like, I guarantee you that USAID was planned to be one of the first targets. You know, it's like Trump and Elon are coordinating a lot on how to move through the ball of, you know, corrupt worms that are the the various government agencies and stuff like that. So realigning United States foreign aid. By the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Section 1, purpose. The United States foreign aid industry and bureaucracy are not aligned with American interests and in many cases antithetical to American values. They serve to destabilize world peace by promoting ideas in foreign countries that are directly inverse to harmonious and stable relations internal to and among countries. Section 2, policy. It is the policy of the United States that no further United States foreign assistance shall be dispersed in a manner that is not fully aligned with the foreign policy of the President of the United States. Now, Section 3 is where it really gets juicy. Section 3A, 90-day pause at United States foreign development assistance for assessment of programmatic efficiencies and consistency with United States foreign policy. So that's like a long-winded way of saying every dime of money that gets doled out by USAID is on freeze immediately. All department and agency heads with responsibility for United States foreign development assistance programs shall immediately pause new obligations and disbursements of development assistance funds to foreign countries and implementing non-governmental organizations, otherwise known as NGOs, international organizations, and contractors pending reviews of such programs for programmatic efficiency and consistency with United States foreign policy to be conducted within 90 days of this order. The Office of Management and Budget, OMB, shall enforce this pause through its apportionment authority. Section B, or Section 3B, determine reviews of the United States foreign assistance programs. Reviews of each foreign assistance program shall be ordered by the responsible department and agency heads under guidelines provided by the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is Marco Rubio, by the way, in consultation with the director of OMB. Marco Rubio being a Florida congressman. Part C, determinations. The responsible department and agency heads in consultation with the director of OMB will make determinations within 90 days of this order on whether to continue, modify, or cease each foreign assistance program based upon the review recommendations with the occurrence of the Secretary of State. In Section D, resumption of pause development assistance funding. New obligations and disbursements of foreign development assistance funds may resume for a program prior to the end of the 90-day period if a review is conducted and the Secretary of State on his designee, in consultation with the director of OMB, decide to continue the program in the same or modified form. Additionally, any other new foreign assistance programs and obligations must be approved by the Secretary of State or his designee in consultation with the director of OMB. And then this is all just whatever. So this is how it started, and immediately turned into a shitstorm. I mean, it was immediate ruffling of feathers, let's say. Now, one of the absolute immediate things that came out of this was the legitimacy of Elon and the DOGE, because there's a lot of misconceptions about the legality of DOGE's existence and its authority and its decision-making capabilities, essentially. And I think a lot of the ignorance is on display by a protest that occurred at the primary office of the USAID by a bunch of Democrat senators and such. And even CNN had to kind of roll their eyes at these people because they really don't seem to know. Again, they're falling into the trap of assuming that Elon and Trump are just buffoons. They're just rich buffoons who don't really know what they're doing. They don't know how the system works, yada, yada, yada. And even CNN kind of calls them out by sounding like a bunch of idiots. I'm going to just play this for you. And chat, let me know if you can hear this or not. I'm going to play 2 seconds, and I want chat to confirm you can hear this. Can you hear that, chat? Is it too loud or too quiet? I don't want chat to be able... I don't want to screw up the video with chat anymore. No sound.
No sound.
See, that's exactly why I wanted to do that. Okay. Here. All right. How about now?
Hands off your money! We don't pledge.
How about that? Can you hear that? It's something I'm really glad that I did that. Too loud? Okay. I'll have it. There we go. All right. So this is like a compilation of the screeching and coping and seething that occurred right outside the office of USAID, facilitated by various Democrat weirdos.
Tell Elon Musk to take his hands off your money! We don't pledge allegiance to the creepy 22-year-olds working for Elon Musk. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America. And goddamn it, shut down the city! We are at war!
We will win! We will win!
Very enthusiastic.
We won't rest! We won't rest!
Gretchen.
Yes,
So,
they need the Democrats need a real leader. Okay, they need a real leader, which currently does not exist in the Democratic Party.
So
Yeah. So even like CNN was just like, wow, that is ridiculous.
Cringe.
It's cringe. It's just a bunch of like ridiculous screeching and frankly ignorance on the legitimacy of Doge, because a lot of them don't believe that Doge has the authority to do what it's doing, and that's wrong on two parts. Number one, they don't understand the nature in which Doge exists, and they also don't understand what Doge is actually doing to get these things dismantled. They think that Doge is the one doing it, but Doge isn't the one actually doing it. Doge is just recommending it be done to the people who can do it, essentially. They think that Doge is just going in and like unilaterally doing all this stuff. Like we get full power to just unilaterally, cut all this and cut all that and destroy this agency and that agency. It's like, no, they don't. They're auditors. They're like the Bobs from Office Space, And I think that the legitimacy of Doge is actually explained very well in this thread by Tom Renz. Let me zoom in here. So he says, after digging into the real truth about Doge, I decided that I should absolutely dig into the truth about the shutdown of USAID. Oh, wait a minute. Is this the wrong? Hang on. Let me scroll down here. This one. This is what I'm looking for. I inherently do not trust the media, so I decided to look into Doge myself and see what is under the hood. Initially, I was quite concerned about the legality of a new agency created by executive order. So he initially just kind of got fed the line that it was just created by executive fiat. But just like everything else, that is a lie put out by the mainstream. The order is here and the thread is below. So I already read the order for y'all. And it says, what are the things about the order about the Doge structure? Oh wait, this is the formation of Doge. Sorry, this is not the same one. But you can see here, the big one that he's highlighting is Doge structure. And he says reorganization and renaming of the United States Digital Service. The USDS is hereby publicly renamed as the United States Doge Service. So he managed to not even have to change the acronym. He renamed it without changing the acronym USDS. It shall be established in the executive office of the president. And then and that's the key one. The establishment of temporary organization is the fact that it has this July 4th, 2026 termination date. So it will automatically disappear on July 4th, 2026. So that's the ticking clock for them to get their audit done, basically. And it also goes into the Doge teams, but we'll get that down into his thread. So he says, as you can see, the document is barely 2 pages and certainly not written in legalese. While not a complicated read, the plan is brilliant. Trump did not actually create a new agency. Instead, what he did was repurpose an existing agency, the USDS, into something more useful. The USDS was an Obamacare office created to make government software better. They were essentially software development for the bureaucracy. Trump renamed the USDS the United States DOGE Service, which even kept the acronym the same. Not only did Trump repurposing an appropriate existing department allow Trump to ensure there was funding for DOGE without having to fight with Congress, because Congress had already allocated all the funding to the United States Digital Service. So all he does was rename it. So like that means he didn't have to get new funding for a new agency. And he also ensured its legality by doing that. So Trump has the power to set priorities for executive branch departments, but there are limits. In the case of DOGE, Trump clearly had a team of lawyers looking at ways to accomplish this goal legally. USDS was already there and funded for this specific purpose. 44 UCS, this is just the law, the name of the number of the law, is a law that facilitates much of USDS. It is generally about developing tech for the government. This means that focusing on efficiency and evaluating the entire government through the lens of the IT that runs it is not only really substantially altering the agency, just its focus. At the same time, Trump also wanted to bring in Elon Musk and at the time Vivek Ramaswamy and his team for an initial major audit and clean sweep. To do this, Trump referenced another law, 5 U.S.C. 3161. This law governs that the creation of and staffing for what is known as, quote, temporary organization in the government. This group will focus on pushing the DOGE agenda and will exist for 18 months. By including this group as temporary, Trump dodged several potential lawsuits as he may not have been able to create his own new administrative entity on a permanent basis without congressional approval. Trump also ordered that DOGE teams be hired in every administrative branch agency. These teams are to include a team lead, a lawyer, an HR person, and an engineer. These teams work for USDS or DOGE, but work with and within various agencies. While all this is part of a software modernization initiative, quote unquote, looking at the software and how things are managed is a great way to find out where there is waste, particularly when part of the mandate is to ensure efficiency. The last part of the post is all important boilerplate, so that's when he just goes on and on and on. So he's basically saying that by basically not creating a new agency and repurposing an existing agency and making that repurposing temporary, it basically exempts him from all the potential lawsuits that would basically challenge the authority to create an agency that would require a congressional approval, which is a very, very brilliant thing to do on his part. So now that with the legitimacy of DOGE in place, they went to work. And what is playing? I don't know what's playing. What am I hearing?
I just wanted to share some things that are going on at my agency.
What's playing right now? What's playing in my ear?
Elon Musk in our building.
I can too.
Wait, that's one of my tabs. It just started playing for some reason. It's this one. Why did this start playing? What the hell? You're blowing my load form on my behalf. Fucking browser. Jeez. Okay, that was weird. Why would like that one random tab to start playing? That's so bizarre. Okay, anyway. So now with the DOGE's legitimacy in place, they got into every line item of spending that USAID had undergone in the fiscal year of 2024. And boy, howdy, was it insane. But here's just a really short list of shit. 15 million for condoms to the Taliban through USAID. I'm actually not... I don't think that this is actually... There's one in here that's for Gaza. Like for condoms to Gaza, which is what I think this is. And that's not what this is. It's actually... There's a country or a city in Africa called Gaza. Yeah. That this was actually designated to. Either way, 15 billion for condoms in a far off land is ridiculous. $500,000 to promote the expansion of atheism in Nepal through the State Department. $1 million to boost French-speaking LGBTQ groups in West and Central Africa through the State Department. $14 million in cash vouchers for migrants at the southern border through the State Department. $20,000 for a drag show in Ecuador through the State Department. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. $32,000 for an LGBTQ-centered comic book in Peru. $55,000 for a climate change presentation warning about the impact of climate change in Argentina, which is like Millier's homeland, to be led by female and LGBT journalists through the State Department. $3.3 million for, quote, being LGBTQ in the Caribbean. $7 million for a BIPOC speaker series in Canada through the State Department. $80,000 for an LGBTQ community center in Bratislava, Slovakia. $3.2 million to help Tunisian migrants readjust to life in Tunisia after deportation. $16,500 foster, quote, a united and equal queer feminist discourse in Albanian society. $10,000 to pressure Lithuanian corporations to promote DEI values. $8,000 to promote DEI among LGBTQ groups in Cyprus. $1.5 million to promote job opportunities for LGBTQ individuals in Serbia. Almost $71K to create a U.S.-Irish musical to promote DEI in Ireland. $40,000 to host seminars at the Edinburgh International Book Festival on gender identity and racial equality. $2.5 million to build electric vehicle charging stations in Vietnam's largest cities. And almost $500,000 to help Indonesian coffee companies become more climate and gender friendly. And that's just like barely scratching the surface. Like every time I ask Grok for like a list of all this stuff, and every time I asked it like 2 or 3 times, and every time it came up with different stuff. With like maybe like half of it overlapped, but the other half was like new shit. So it just goes on and on. And on.
Like a complete list.
I couldn't get it to give me a complete list, and I couldn't find like a comprehensive complete list all in one place. Not in the time I had, honestly, because man, there's so many rabbit holes that I'm barely going to scratch the surface of in this presentation.
I think it's crazy that like it's like every day it's like, oh, we found some more stuff in USAID. You just want to read some more of it?
Oh yeah, I'm getting to that villain. Trust me.
Some more. Like every single day, there's more.
Yeah, every single day, it was like more nonsense. Like here's another one, like from Carolyn Levette's press conference: $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. It's just like, what the hell?
How I watch this? I want to play this, please.
Okay. Chat should be able to hear this. If I'm going to do it again.
And I would just say a strong message to.
Can you hear that, chat?
They should be able to hear the entire window.
I hope so. I don't know. I've been burned on this shit so many times. 200 million for sushi. We hear, okay.
And I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything. And in the last 4 years,
I'm going to pause it right there because one thing that annoys me is that people bring up North Carolina and they bring up the Palisades fire, but they never bring up the Maui fires. The Maui fires from 2023 that people are still struggling to recover from. So
federal government did nothing to help them. This president will continue to put Americans first, and I think the successes of this week so far speak to that, and it's only Wednesday. So I'll see you guys later this week, and we'll see you this afternoon.
Yeah, so that's that clip.
She's great. I love her.
Oh yeah, she's great, dude.
Everyone,
Dude, like I can't remember her name, but the girl who had like the big binder, like Trump's last press secretary. I can't remember her name, but she had that big binder of truth. That she like. It's so like the press would ask her a question, but she just flipped to that questions page and just like knock them down, like bam, bam, bam. It was great. And then, okay, so that's that. Now, there also it came out that USAID was funding a ton of leftist media outlets.
surprise, surprise!
And weirdly
No
enough, now Politico is the one that got the most attention. So she basically calls out Politico to their face. It actually shows that this is the Politico person right here, and Carolyn looks right
funny.
at her. So
USAID has gotten a lot of attention the last couple of days with some of these bizarre things that taxpayers have been funding. Now it looks like there are a couple media outlets that have been dragged into this conversation as far as USAID funding as well. Does the president have any
Look at her
comment on
looking
that?
down.
I know.
Upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than $8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The DOGE team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. And this president and his team are making decisions across the board on, do these receipts serve the interests of the American people? Is this a good use of the American taxpayers' money? If it is not, that funding will no longer be sent abroad, and American taxpayers will see.
So, yeah, again, she's fantastic. She's such a good press secretary. But wasn't Oprah and The Rock supposed to fix Maui? Yeah, they were totally going to fix an NDA. That's true, by the way. That was a thing. So now the whole thing with Politico is that it was basically funding these high-level exclusive subscriptions. I was going to say prescriptions. Subscriptions to because what Politico does is they have like a whole part of their business. In fact, a huge portion of their business is dedicated to generating data, essentially, that only people who pay like a premium, like an annual premium, can get access to. And so the state, various government agencies and state departments and state governments and stuff like that, they'll all subscribe to this like high level service from Politico to get access to that data. And these subscriptions can run like up to $10,000 a year, essentially. So that's like, again, it's like this. Yeah, well, it's meant to be B2B, business to business, with enterprise level kind of services. Okay.
My wife brought me a soda. And it's cream soda. I was not prepared for.
Maui fires didn't happen, Hellsman. I thought everyone knew that since no one was allowed to go in afterwards. Well, that's the thing that annoys the hell out of me. That like Maui, like everybody's like all about North Carolina and the Palisades fire, but nobody bothers to remember that the Maui fires are still people are still like struggling to recover from the Maui fires. I think like just in like a month or two, they're expected to start paying rent again, like on their temporary homes and stuff like that. I mean, hell, the fucking Flint, Michigan water quality issue is still a thing. And that's the thing, like, when I think about, like, okay, the government overspends by trillions of dollars. It's like, what does it matter? Like, what does an $8.2 million stipend for, premium subscriptions to Politico mean in regards to cutting out that budget? Cutting into that, those trillions of dollars. it's like, well, to someone suffering from a Palisades fire, or someone who's still living in one of those Amish homes in North Carolina, or someone who's still trying to recover from, can't, gather the funds to rebuild their home in Maui, or this or that, or whatever little thing locally, to them, that 8.2 million solves the problem, for them. That $500,000 for a fucking gay comic book in Kazakhstan or whatever. It's like that's a couple homes rebuilt. You know what I mean? Like it matters to normal people. You know what I mean? So, Rosa, are you there? No. Okay. She's still figuring out her cream soda situation. But yeah, that's the kind of the perspective that I am taking, because like I think they put out a poll. There's a poll put out on Twitter, I think, basically asking people like how successful do they think that Doge is going to be. The highest goal, the loftiest goal of Doge is $2 trillion. Their baseline goal is $1 trillion. And I think they did a poll, and they said that, like, I think the majority of people, something like 40 to 50%, said that they'll get between 500 billion and $1 trillion. There was like 20%, 25% that said that they would get like 1 to 1.5 trillion. And then there was like another like 10% that said less than 500 billion. And then like the remaining like 4 or 5% or whatever said that they would reach the full $2 trillion. I don't know if that's the exact breakdown, but it was something along those lines. And I'm in that majority cadre where I think that they can reach that $1 trillion. I really do. But yeah, so The Rock is basically trying to make scripted TikToks look spontaneous, and Oprah got lost in her money vault. Oh, God. I hate The Rock. I'm a Rock hater, chat. I think The Rock is so fucking phony. I can't stand him.
I knew a guy that worked with him on a movie set.
Really?
Yeah. He was a regular at my local GameStop. He was a camera guy.
Oh, okay.
And he had worked with him on a movie they were filming in Miami.
Oh,
I can't remember which movie it was.
Was it Ballers?
Yeah, that was it. Ballers.
Yeah.
I worked with him on Ballers. And no, I don't think it was Ballers. I think it was a movie. Can't remember now. Might have been Ballers though.
Might have been the one where they're working out, the walk with Mark Wahlberg, maybe.
Can't remember, but he was basically talking about like behind the scenes, The Rock's like a total fucking douche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's such a phony dude. I can't stand him.
Like he's a complete asshole behind the camera.
See, the thing is, like, that's my impression. I actually knew a guy who worked with The Rock too, but I used to know very, very loosely. I talked to him like twice in my life, and he was like a regional manager of The Rock's energy drink, that Maui or whatever themed energy drink that he has. And the guy that I talked to was like, yeah, he's like, yeah, like every month I'm on a call with The Rock with all the other regional managers, just strategizing on this stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, he's totally super cool and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, I don't think he is. So
no, apparently he treats like movie staff like shit.
I could see it. I could totally see it. So anyway,
like a huge ego.
Okay, so back to Politico. So it says left-leaning news outlet Politico was paid a staggering $8.2 million in government subsidies, uncovered amid Elon Musk's Doge dragnet on wasteful spending. We already know that. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt said the money given to Politico was spent on essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the taxpayers' dime. The Doge is working on canceling those payments now. This is a government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. Politico received $44,000 from USAID last year, but was given millions from other federal agencies, public records showed. Most notably, the Department of Health and Human Services had 1.37 million in obligations. So you can see, like, this is like every department is spending, you know, about $1 million or so to get a handful of these subscriptions for their people to have access to all these analytics and data. The Department of the Interior and the Department of Energy were also among the top spenders. Musk wrote on X that this is obviously a huge waste of taxpayer money. An email to staff, Politico confirmed that the spend was on the platform's business-to-business service, Politico Pro, which offers nonpartisan, real-time intelligence personalized to their area of policy focus. It is not uncommon for clients to wish to review and discuss their contracts at renewal time. Politico Media Group CEO, I'm not even going to try to say that. And Politico's global editor-in-chief, John Harris, wrote, we always benefit from the feedback. We are happy to have such conversations with our federal government subscribers and are confident that most will see the continued value. Subscriptions can cost around $10,000 a year per online reports, meaning that the government would have had to shell out for more than 800 accounts. Levitt will warn that DOGE is in the process of pulling the plug on all payments, which could spell further disaster. Politico, whose staffers yesterday found out that they had not been paid. The outlet stated that the missing payments were due to a technical issue. However, speculation quickly began to swirl that the crackdown on public spending was to blame. So, billionaire who is leading a review of the federal government with Trump's go-ahead decided this week to shut down the government agency, yada, yada, yada. So, this is about that payment thing. No employment at Politico got paid yesterday. First time ever the company missed a pay period. Now we learn that Politico, a news company which spent the last 10 years trying to destroy the MAGA movement and was being massively funded by USAID. Trump and Elon deleted their funding. Now Politico would go out of business. The corruption is endless. Good riddance. So this just shows the spending levels, essentially. So that went up and up and up, and then bam, cut off. Rip. So this is the email that they said that's saying it was a glitch in the system. You know, they just said, addressing this morning's payroll issue, but we believe to be a technical error. Employees did not receive their paychecks as scheduled, yada, yada, yada. So we don't really exactly know if they're actually related but it's a hilarious coincidence if it's just that, a coincidence.
Have they not been paid?
Correct. They haven't been paid, but they're saying that the payments aren't, like, tied directly to federal funding. Like, they have enough, and this is true, businesses will have enough cash on hand to pay their people, like, for months, Yeah. They maintain overhead in case of glitches and stuff like that. I haven't seen updates to this if they have been paid since this initial glitch, quote-unquote glitch happened. It's just a hilarious coincidence, I feel like. Now, this is where it gets weird, is that Politico wasn't the only media company, and specifically, it wasn't just American companies that USAID was doling out money to. It was also doling out, like, to the BBC over in Britain. The BBC's Media Action Charity received USAID funding. Received $2.5 million to the organization, which trains journalists and helps improve communications in poor countries. And just so you know, the BBC is very much, pretty much all the media except maybe GB News over in Britain is extremely far left. Like, they're all, like, leftist shills. And the BBC is probably the top one of them all, to be honest. I would say that the least leftist one that they have is the Daily Mail. But yeah, the BBC is the worst of the bunch, and they were getting USAID money. It's that interesting how the US government was funding leftist propaganda in Britain through the BBC.
Are me unsurprised?
I mean, I'm not surprised, but it's also just like, I don't know. I'm not surprised, but I'm also just kind of like baffled, I don't know. It just feels strange, to me at least. Like, it makes sense. It's just maybe it's just because I'm not. I guess me, like so many other people, are not used to this kind of transparency. You know,
Yeah.
like we're not used to transparency from our government. So when it happens, and it happens in such large volume, in such short amounts of time, it's really like jarring. So yeah, there was media overseas also being
I'm gonna need to step away for a minute.
okay.
I need to like put my head down
Oh,
or
okay.
sit in front of the toilet, one or the other.
Okay, I'll keep going. With the chat. Okay, so besides media, another rabbit hole that apparently was getting funded was the OG Gamergate movement. This says people have wondered if our tax dollars were used to promote wokeness in video games, and the answer is yes. USAID paid Politico millions per year to write pieces like this one, which promotes diversity and describes Gamergate as a disinformation and harassment campaign. So this is like an excerpt from Politico. It says like video games were never really the exclusive province of white male loners, but that's been the stereotype. And some players took that reputation seriously, so much so that they organized a backlash to try to protect it. You know, on and on and on. Let's see. Profoundly stupid name of Gamergate spent several months orchestrating a series of harassment campaigns of women game developers and critics. Several women fled their homes in fear for their safety. The harassers' motivation to drive people they dubbed social justice warriors. Man, remember when that term was... Remember when SJW was like the term that we used? Man, those were the days. Or the progressive values and their desire to see more realistic depictions of women and minorities in video games out of the industry. The campaign worked well enough that Steve Bannon, as reported in Joshua Green's Devil's Bargain, used it as a template for Trump's presidential campaign. You know, it just, oh my gosh. It didn't stop the thing it set out to stop. They're quoting Polygon. If anything, it made it go faster. Just on and on and on with this bullshit. And this wasn't the only article either. Like, they posted, like, you see Gamergate reference. Gamergate. You know, it's beginning to look a lot like 2016. This is in 2022. Biden's invisible debt forgiveness policy moment, you know, referencing Gamergate. What was really at stake in the Depp Heard trial? Moment says Gamergate. 3 ways a crypto crash could hit politics, known as Gamergate. Like, and it just keeps going on. Political legacy of Ghostbusters, it triggered a Gamergate-style backlash. Anti-feminist Gamergate personality, Sargon of Akkad, or boy. How Yang charmed the right on... Man, remember Andrew Yang? Man, this is like a throwback. Anti-feminist Gamergate personality, Sargon of Akkad. So, it just keeps going. There's more and more and more. So, yeah, Politico was paying for propaganda was getting paid by USAID to propagandize, essentially. Which is pretty insane. And it's you have to also wonder because, like, I remember when Anita Sarkeesian was fundraising for her tropes in women. What was it? Tropes of women in video games, I think, which was a 6-part video YouTube series of her sitting in front of a regular ass desk with a regular ass background with a regular ass screen, like pretty much the setup you see right here, except it's her on camera behind a desk. Which if I turn my camera on, it would be me behind a desk, you know. So it's basically the same setup. It's that my setup is actually more expensive than hers because I had to pay for the background out and the VTuber models, and I had to pay for a Streamlabs thing. She didn't have chat. She doesn't have any of that. It was 6 videos, about 20 to 30 minutes each, right? Just saying dumb shit about women in video games. And she wanted to fundraise like something like to the tune of like $250,000 to fund this bullshit operation. And somehow she got the funding. She got the funding for this thing. And I remember at the time, looking through the list of, it'd be like anonymous $5,000, anonymous $3,000, anonymous. There was like so much of it were like these big chunk donors. And I have to wonder if those are all contributions from these various like NGOs or whatever that are funded through USAID and stuff like that. Like, I guarantee you that you don't have to stretch a lot of yarn to make connections about how USAID funded feminist frequencies bullshit. Because like, she didn't even finish the series either. I think she got through like episode 4 and then it just kind of stopped. So she didn't even like come through on that. She got $250,000 or some shit like that. I don't know if it was that much exactly, but it was way too much. It was way too much. I could do the same series right here on this channel, and I spent, I don't know, like, maybe I could do it for nothing with what I have now. I have everything, and I paid for it out of pocket with a regular ass job. And she needed to like kickstart this thing. It's like, it was so obviously a grift. So obvious, and yet it got the funding. It got the funding in these bulk thousands of dollar increments. You know what I mean? And it was suspicious at the time, and it's even more suspicious now. So, oh yeah, that's right. It was like $25,000 in DA. It was. I'm pretty sure it was something like $20,000 to $25,000 to set up a Discord server. Something that Rika and I sat down and made my Discord server in like an hour, and I gave her like $20 for the help. Like, I hope Rika doesn't feel ripped off by that, because it's just insane. It was like, and then I can't believe I'm like totally spurting out about feminist frequency and Gamergate, but it's true. I remember I did a 5-hour presentation about Gamergate 1 and Gamergate 2 way back close to when I first debuted. Go and watch it. I did like an in-depth analysis of both of them, how they were linked, the motivations, what ESG is, and how the grift works. The whole scam. I did all of it. And I remember that after Gamergate was over and the dust was settling, after getting all that money, Anita Sarkeesian was using the money to go on vacations, and she wasn't paying her people, to the point where that trans thing that was hired, because there were 3 people hired onto Feminist Frequency as personalities. There's Anita, there's Carolyn Petit, and some black lady I can't remember the name of. And Carolyn Petit, I quit because she wasn't getting paid by Anita. So after getting all of this money, spending none of it to make the videos, because you don't need that money. What do you need? You need a desk. So that's like $100. You need a decent light, which is like another, a few nice lights for like, being on camera. Maybe a couple hundred bucks, maybe. And then you need like a decent webcam, so like another $100 to $200. That's basically it. So you can do that. You can do the whole series for $500 of seed money, and she got to like $250,000 for it. And even with all that money, she failed to pay her people, to the point where Carolyn Petit ended up quitting. Carolyn Petit ended up going over to GameSpot, where she became famous for giving that Gone Home walking simulator trash a 10 out of 10. So yeah. I owe Rika $24,975. Now that is a gender pay gap if I've ever seen one. Oh man. But yeah, it was, the whole thing was like such an obvious grift. And now it comes out that like it is in some way, maybe not direct, but in some way it was funded by this USAID program. So, and just in general, USAID funded censorship smears of Americans. USAID supports freedom fighters everywhere in this world, declared Senator Chris Murphy at a rally yesterday outside of the front gates of the United States Agency for International Development, the foreign assistance agency now targeted for sweeping cuts. The reality, however, is murky. The sprawling agency has financed groups that have engaged in smear campaigns and efforts to silence prominent American dissident voices. It funded Zinc Network, an anti-disinformation group that has targeted reporter Max Blumenthal, politicians Vivek Ramaswamy, and Representative Andy Biggs of Arizona. Also funded a pesticide industry public relations effort known as vFluence, which dug up dirt about American food journalists Michael Pollan and Mark Bittman. But most troubling, the Foreign Aid Assistance Agency has financed a network of groups in Ukraine that have spread unsubstantiated claims that American voices in favor of peace negotiations with Russia are agents of the Kremlin. American government entities face restrictions on spreading such propaganda against domestic targets. The foreign nexus of U.S. aid provides a convenient loophole. American grants and contracts flow, often through third-party intermediaries, to a network of foreign recipients, which can push to silence American journalists and politicians through outside advocacy. In Ukraine, USAID, through its contractor Internews, supports a network of social media-focused news outlets, including New Voice of Ukraine, Vox Ukraine, Detector Media, and the Institution of Mass Information. These news outlets have produced a series of videos and reports targeting economist Jeffrey Sachs, commentator Tucker Carlson, journalist Glenn Greenwald, and Professor John Marsheimer as figures within a controlled network of Russian propaganda. The influence of these outlets extends far beyond the borders of Ukraine. Vox Ukraine, for instance, is an official fact-checking partner to Meta. Well, not anymore, because Meta ended all of its fact-checking partnerships. And they're integrating a community notes system, just like X does. And helps the social media giant censor so-called disinformation. Detector Media similarly produces English-language disinformation reports widely considered or circulated through Western media. Despite branding as independent outlets, these organizations are heavily reliant on USAID. USAID contract documents show provide special grants to Detector Media to undermine Kremlin information operations and bolster international support for solidarity with Ukraine. In 2021, Detector Media received 35.1% of its nearly $1 million budget from USAID contractor Internews. In 2023, USAID provided a $2.5 million direct grant to Detector Media. This article goes on. I didn't pay for it, but you get the point. How they were basically using USAID as basically like funding these propaganda outlets, essentially to work around laws and constitutional issues and stuff like that. And then we see this here. Why did USA pay $20 million to hit piece journalists to dig up dirt on Rudy Giuliani and use that dirt as the basis to impeach the sitting U.S. president in 2019? So a lot of this has to do with the laptop story, how Politico was one of the primary media outlets that was suppressing the laptop story, the Hunter Biden laptop story. And let's not forget the whole Burisma campaign with Biden's coke-addicted son, which was the $1 billion that he threatened to withhold with USAID money. So, this is clearly like a massive leftist money laundering and propaganda scam. And then we get into the migration issue, which we talked about last week. So Trump's freezes on foreign aid has also hit the Jesuit Refugee Service, one of the biggest players in mass immigration in Ireland and the EU. Yesterday, they announced that all of the work across the globe has been stopped. JRS Ireland is the group that was providing the tents for Migrant Tent City in Dublin. They assist migrants entering Ireland, and they work on their behalf when they get here. Now, you remember, like I covered last week, how one of the great things that Trump was doing that I didn't think of initially was how he was defunding all of these NGOs that were aiding migration from South America and Central America into America through the southern border, and how they were setting up like checkpoints and maps and how to avoid the law and how to do how to get around laws and all this other kind of shit, and just helping them along their way, basically, essentially engaging in what can be argued human trafficking across the whole continent. And a lot of those NGOs were funded almost entirely by these, U.S. government grants. and like USAID kind of funding programs. And if you remember from that, you should go watch the last podcast. I covered it in detail in the last one. A lot of the NGOs are religious. So that one was Jesuit. The next big one is the Catholic. It's just Catholic Charities. It's the Catholic bishops. It's like the CBB or the CZB or something like that. I can't remember. Like the Council of Catholic Bishops or something like that. One of the biggest NGOs that facilitates third world immigration into the United States. So here's just like a massive list of all of these Catholic charities that receive. It's hard to read because the image is blurry, but you can see here. I don't know if you could tell here, but you see, this is the recipient. Catholic Charities. And then it's Maine, Neighborhood Services, Louisville, Southern Nevada, Tennessee. What is that name? I can't read that one. Miami, Albany, Baton Rouge, Pueblo, Hartford, Connecticut, West Washington. It just goes New Orleans, Nigeria. But look at these subs. Total obligation amount. 44.5 million, 33 million, 56 million, 110 million, 108 million, 58 million, 22 million, 23 million, 17 million, 8 million, 3 million, 2 million, 9 million, 5.5 million, 5.5 million, 14.5 million, 1 million, 1 million, 36 million, 3 million. It just.
Hey,
you okay?
Ethan and I are both fucking dying. I sit there and pay the stream because she's like vomiting in the bathroom.
Oh god.
And I also need to beat Jin because he fucking demolished my fucking food.
Okay.
I already beat him. I need to beat him again. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go, dude.
Okay.
I'm both fucking dying.
I'm sorry. Okay. You get your rest.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll catch you guys later.
That's all good. Wish Rosa a speedy recovery. Let me. She's not. There we go. Okay. Well, that's okay. We could write solo tonight, chat. It's all right. So yeah, we have all the Catholic bishops, and then the hilarious one is, you remember that priest who lectured Trump at the Episcopal Church, as is tradition? Apparently, she received $53 million of taxpayer funds. So the EMM, which is, what is it? Let me see. The Episcopal Migration Ministry received $53 million of taxpayer funds in 2023 for its migrant resettlement program. They resettled 3,600 individuals in 2023. 2024 budget figures are not yet available, but the EMM sponsored 6,400 individuals in 2024. And considering that that's like practically double this, that is, you can probably double this as well, and said that they got close to around 100 million in 2024. Yeah, it's just this whole ball of worms that has been revealed by this relatively small, poke into this agency. And then finally, I want to get into how quickly this organization collapsed. So remember, the executive order went out on the 20th of January. They initially laid off like a few hundred people. But as of February 7th, USAID announced that all direct hire personnel would be placed on administrative leave globally, effective 11:59 p.m., with exceptions for personnel responsible for quote-unquote mission-critical functions, core leadership, and specially designated programs. Reports indicate that only 294 staff members out of the original 10,000 plus were retained for essential functions, representing a reduction of approximately 97% of the workforce. 97%. He only did 80% when he bought Twitter. He gutted this department more than he gutted Twitter. It's basically useless at this point. Hundreds of contractors were laid off earlier in the process. So this was the 400 contract employees were laid off on January 28th. A few direct hires on the 4th. Direct hires overseas were given 30 days to return to the U.S. with the State Department arranging and paying for their return travel. So, yeah, it's been completely gutted. And now, turns out that there are 19-year-olds who are basically interviewing every individual person left to justify their existence, to determine whether or not they should be fired. They're literally doing the Bobs from Office Space to them. So this was at an unknown town hall, an unknown town hall. An unnamed federal worker spoke out at a town hall event in Virginia.
When I was nervous and reticent to come up here and speak just for retaliation purposes.
So the person talking is the one in white here over on the right. And he's one of the people who somehow managed to survive the absolute gutting of the USAID program.
I just wanted to share some things that are going on at my agency. In the last week, we had Elon Musk in our building, and after he visited the building, he called for a 50% cut of the entire agency. My colleagues are getting 15-minute one-on-one check-ins with 19, 20, and 21-year-old college graduates asking to justify their existence.
19, 20, and 21-year-old graduates. I didn't get into the team because they're currently going through like doxing and all that kind of shit. One of them goes by Big Balls though, which is hilarious. That goes this collage you can find on media about on social media of all the news agencies just saying Big Balls over and over and over again. It's absolutely hilarious. But what Musk did is he basically hired a bunch of young prodigies. Is what he did. You know, if they're 19, 20, and 21 years old and Elon found them and hired them to do the shit that they're doing, that they have to be prodigies. Like, these are extremely smart kids.
Supervisors are being told not to tell their staff anything, withhold information. And today we got word that supervisors must now fill out a justification form, and that there's going to be just a 30% rank and yank with all staff in my agency. And to top it all off, one of Musk's top lieutenants and his wife and young child have shacked up on the 6th floor of our agency and are living there. The hallway's been blocked off with a special access list for people who can't get back there.
Yeah. So, yeah, Elon basically moved into the building. Like, literally moved in, and he's sleeping there on the top floor every night. So, villain, we're going to get to that. That's literally the last story of the night. And it's the last story, so I can circle it all the way back around to the beginning. So, and then there's this. Trump basically said that many USAID employees on leave because they thought they knew better than POTUS what should happen with foreign aid. Now they're gone. Trump isn't effing around this time. So it says here, this is from Jason Gray, the acting administrator of USAID. We've identified several actions within USAID that appear to be designed to circumvent the president's executive orders and the mandate from the American people. As a result, we have decided to put a number of USAID employees on administrative leave with full pay and benefits until further notice while we complete our analysis of these actions. So remember, like, when they sent out the memo about ending all of the DEI shit to all the various agencies, and there was all those memos that had the same boilerplate, like, send to all of the employees of that agency, like NASA, I think the Department of Agriculture, and a few others and stuff like that. And a big part of that was, we have set up a hotline, so if you catch anybody who's trying to circumvent these or bury these things deeper into the companies or into the agencies, rename it, rebrand it, basically engage in the behavior but under the table and in the shadows, we're setting up a hotline so you can snitch on those people, essentially, so that we can make sure that they get rooted out. And he's keeping that same energy here. And as a result of all this, the department is basically dead. So this was the USAID Agency for International Development. This is where all those screeching Democrats were in the beginning of the segment. And now it's gone. You can see the old grimy remains of the letters up here on the building, which seems appropriate to me. And as a result of all this, probably one of the greatest rants I've ever seen went viral as a result of this whole thing. And that's from Isaiah Carter, who says, "I hereby renounce the Democratic Party." And I'm just going to play this in full because it is just so cathartic to watch. I'm not going to interrupt it or anything. I'm just going to let the whole thing play.
This fucking political party, the Democratic Party, have lied to us about everything. They've lied about being the party of the middle class. They've lied about being the party of peace. They've lied about being the party of that wants to help poor people. Okay? What the last several weeks have proven to us all is that this is a cadre of criminals and losers and spoiled children of affluent parents who were more concerned about looking good than actually doing good. These are people who were more concerned about looking like they were doing something for the American people than actually doing things for the American people. And that's why I'm so angry. Because this party lied to me while stealing my tax dollars. The Democratic Party lied to us all while they brought in millions of illegal immigrants for their own political purposes for the last 4 years. 20 to 30 million illegal aliens brought in, and now we come to USAID being probably the largest money laundering operation in American history. Congratulations, Dems. You've outdone even Bernie Madoff. I'm disgusted beyond words. Disgusted with the waste of money. Disgusted with the waste, with the fraud.
Mm-hmm.
With the way that you people use color legitimacy, and the way you use black people as fucking mules to get us to push whatever fucking agenda you wanted to. The amount of division you used black people to sow upon the American people, you used us for that. And I will never, ever forgive this political party. The shit that I've gone through personally. Y'all were supposed to be the party of free speech, the party of women's rights. You have immolated all of those things. And then, as if enough weren't enough, you then decide that you're going to die on the hill of USAID, a government audit. You're trying to prevent a government audit because some of you really are trying to stay out of prison. We see the game now. Y'all been out here telling us that the game was rigged against certain people. Well, now we found out who the people that were rigging the game were. Congratulations. Y'all are never going to win another political race ever again. Not if I can help it.
Yes. I mean, can it be said any better? You know, can it be said any better? Yeah, so good on him. Good on him. It's like, and this is like the energy that I was tapping into at the beginning when I said, it's like, oh, like, you know, $40-50 billion is kind of a drop in the bucket, but you're looking, it's not, it's a big drop in the bucket, but, you know, $2 million here, $3 million there, 10 million here, $500,000 there. It doesn't seem like it's like you're really doing enough to get to that $1 trillion minimum by July of 2026, right? It's like, so what's the point? It's like, well, because because like I said, from people like this guy's point of view, you know, I mean, that's the rebuilding of homes in North Carolina fixed. That's hurricane recovery in Florida or wherever, you know, in Tampa or something like that, fixed. That's this road fixed. That's this hospital, that hospital, you know, it adds up to all these little things that people, because that's what people do. They look at like what they need funding for locally, and then they see like what money is going to, where money is going instead, and they say, wow, that money is getting wasted over there. Why isn't it coming here to help the thing that my community needs? And people grow resentful over that. And that's like the ultimate energy that this guy is getting at here. So even if DOGE doesn't reach its goal, the American people are going to be thankful for it in the end. And they're just getting started. They are just getting started. Their next target is the Treasury Department. Now, a judge has annoyingly blocked access from access to the Treasury Department's records that contain sensitive personal data such as Social Security and bank account numbers for millions of Americans. It's like I'm sorry, but like that can be found. Like, yeah, exactly. NDA $20,000 isn't a lot to someone living in California, but that's a year's income for someone living in North Carolina. Wasted money is wasted money, and it's enough to change thousands of people's lives. Yeah, exactly. Because people don't look at things from like, oh, like the whole country needs all that money to go over there. They just said, no, we just need this small amount to go right here where I'm at. You know what I mean? And that's exactly as you said. People are like, wow, that's, I worked my ass off to make that $20,000-$30,000 last year, and the government is just taxing me to death and then giving that exact amount to some DEI dipshit in Kazakhstan to write a gay comic book. You know what I mean? It's like that. You think that that's helping Americans in any way? No, that's not doing shit. That's making Americans resentful, and it's it again, never underestimate the power of human spite. So yeah, they're targeting the Treasury Department next, which is a much bigger target than USAID. But in the meantime, a judge has blocked access, but the hearing is set for February 14th, which is right around the corner, about a week away. So I have a feeling that at some point he is going to get access to this stuff. And you think that USAID was a powder keg? Wait till you see what the Treasury Department is going to get found out about. So that's what I had on USAID, chat. That thing is, there's a lot more. Honestly, it was hard enough to find, to condense what I could down into I don't know, I've been going for about an hour now, honestly. Just to the 1 hour. I mean, I could have done a 3-hour stream on this easily. Because there's just so much. It all happens so fast, But we're going to go ahead and leave the USAID conversation there. And I was going to do a big thing about the 5051 protests as well, but I'm going to go ahead and skip that. We're going to do a shorter show today. We're probably going to end it in about another hour. So let me get the next set of tabs switched over for y'all. Just give me 1 second here. Now we're going to get into some kind of silly and dumb stuff. Let me just make sure that all these tabs are refreshed up properly. Okay. So, first up, do you remember this woman? The woman who slept with over 1,000 dudes in one day? Well, it turns out that OnlyFans is going to ban the video that she did of the 1,057 men that she slept with in a day. Which kind of renders the whole reason for doing it meaningless, which is hilarious. And the reason is because the platform couldn't verify the ages of all the dudes. Which actually I think is actually a really legitimate reason. Because creator was planning on using the footage to promote her subscription. OnlyFans is a platform designed for creators who have completed our comprehensive onboarding process and choose to monetize their content. To keep our community safe, OnlyFans also verifies the age, identity, and consent of all parties featured in explicit content on OnlyFans. We do not allow a large number of non-OnlyFans creators to be featured on an account, even where release forms have been provided. So now I don't think it's completely true because she can just upload this on any other porn site and just drive people to her OnlyFans. So it'll get out there, I feel like. But again, I have a feeling that the other sites also have similar verification processes that she doesn't have available. So she actually might be SOL and have been absolutely run through for absolutely no real reason. Even OnlyFans has limits? Yeah, right? Who'd have thought that? The UK's bicycle? Oh, man. I mean, 1,000 dudes in a day? Let's do the math here. Wait, it was 1,057 guys. Let me bring up a calculator. Let me see here. So we have 1,057 divided by, let's say, 24 hours. That's 44 dudes an hour divided by 60. 0.73 dudes a minute. So so yeah, she was basically banging a dude a minute. Which is like, number one, like, you only last a minute, dude? You suck. But also, like, I can't imagine being one of these dudes. Like, what are you doing? Like, what if you're like in the middle of the pack or near the end of the pack? Are you just like standing there naked with a bunch of other dudes, just kind of like awkwardly jacking it, like just to keep it like a semi going for, until it's your turn to dip your noodle into the very, very, very cream-filled pie? Like, what? How? I can't imagine what kind of guy would want to do that? You know what I mean? Like, what guy signs up for that? That's incredible to me. Like, I can't imagine being a guy with that little self-esteem in myself to be able to like want to just stand there jacking it with a bunch of other dudes until I have my, 45 seconds of, basically sticking my dick into what is essentially a tube that is already filled to the brim with other dudes' cum. This got really gross all of a sudden, chat. I'm sorry. But, like, when you think about it for just a little bit, that's what you're doing, right? You're just, like, if you're not the first guy to go, why would you want to be there? Like, if you don't pick number one, why would you do? Because, like, nobody wants sloppy seconds, let alone sloppy, like, 1,057th. Like, like, who wants that? They're just sitting around trying to keep it hard for their turn. Once a guy had the PTSD shakes afterwards on the 100 body attempt because he wasn't ready for the smell and sight. Oh, my, yeah, it's like, that's the other thing. Can you imagine the smell? You've got, like, 1,000 dudes in a room, like, jacking it, and they're getting kind of sweaty. Like, you're gonna get sweat just for, like, the sheer body heat, like the amount of body heat that's produced like in an enclosed room like that. You know what I mean? You got like 1,000 hot and bothered bodies. You're going to be sweaty and gross. I mean, that just sounds like that is like got to be the worst sexual experience. Well, I can think of worse. I can think of worse, to be fair. But it's up there. Let's be real. It's up there. In terms of, like, this is just a scenario you don't want to be in. Like, why would any guy sign up for this? Hell, what if you're like in line and like what if like the guy in front of you has got like 3 or 4 inches on you? You know what I mean? Like, how isn't that like a massive blow to your ego? Like, that guy is gonna just like, rearrange her guts right before you get a turn. It's gonna feel like a hawk down a hallway. And that's not gonna feel great for you, for her. you're gonna feel completely inadequate. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no good scenario here. First time you've been grossed up by a... I'm sorry, Marku. I'm sorry. The more I think about it, because I'm just like train of thoughting at this point, and it's like, hey, that's what this is. It's literally a train of thought. That's what I'm gonna call this video clip. I'm gonna call it the train of thought. Oh my god. But yeah, she did all that for nothing. No guy should have signed up for this. That's a horrible experience for everyone involved. What were anyone thinking in this? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna skip that one because I don't know enough about it. Here we go. I don't know. Let me see here if I can. Then I will take this. Over 150 women were raped during a Congo prison break. Hundreds of people can be seen escaping from the prison in a video as plumes of black smoke billow nearby and what sounds like gunshots ring out. At least 165 women were raped by male inmates after a mass breakout from a prison in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the United Nations said, citing officials of the Central African nation. After fighters from the M23 rebel group advanced towards the eastern city of Goma, the UN said inmates at the Muzenzi prison took advantage of the chaos and started to escape on January 27th. That's my birthday. That's it. Don't celebrate my birthday like that. That's bad. What a bad thing to do on my birthday. In a video posted to X and verified by NBC News, hundreds of people can be seen escaping from the prison as plumes of black smoke billow nearby and what sounds like gunshots ring out. DRC officials report that at least 165 women were raped by male inmates during the mass prison break. Jesus. Vivian van de Peer, the United Nations representative for the DRC, said in a briefing from Goma on Wednesday that the situation was still highly volatile in the city, which is home to around 2 million people. Many residents were fleeing the city because the conditions are really, really dire, and we are actually afraid of health outbreaks in our camps for the people that we are sheltering, but also for ourselves. She added that the UN had been unable to verify firsthand all the numbers and exactly what transpired at the prison due to the situation in Goma. Her comments came as farther south. Rwanda-backed M23 rebels moved into mining town of Nyabibwe in an apparent violation of a unilateral ceasefire the group announced on Monday. Well, that didn't last long. Who'd have thunk it? An African rebel group would go back on their ceasefire promises? The capture of Nyabibwe takes the rebels a step closer to the provincial capital, Bukavu, some 40 miles south, a city the rebels said last week they had no intention of capturing. Congo accuses Rwanda of using the M23 to pillage valuable mineral deposits. Rwanda says it is acting in self-defense and to protect ethnic Tutsis. M23's capture of Goma last week displaced hundreds of thousands of people and fanned fears of a wider regional war. This is something I'm gonna keep track of. Is this basically there's like a rebel civil war happening in this area of Africa right now? I'm gonna be keeping track of this for future shows. Reports that 52 of them were raped by Congolese troops in South Kivu, including alleged reports of gang rape, were verified by the OHCHR on Friday. The DRC's government launched an action plan to combat sexual violence by members of the military in 2014, but a report by the UN 5 years later found that perpetrators of sexual violence could still act with impunity. So it wasn't just like the prisoners doing it, the soldiers were doing it too. So there is like no good side in this. Last year, Doctors Without Borders, the aid group also known as Médecins Sans Frontières, reported that it had treated over 25,000 survivors of sexual violence across the DRC in 2023, the highest number it had ever recorded in the country. So yeah, this whole thing is getting out of hand over there in Goma. prison breaks, there's rebel civil wars, mass rapes by troops and prisoners, and it's just chaos and destruction. It's really bad over there right now. Let's see here. Moving on. Carl's Jr. ad brings back bikini-clad burger models after years-long clampdown. They're bringing sexy back to advertising, chat. Look at this. Make America hot again. Damn right. Carl's Jr., which ditched sexualized commercials 8 years ago, is bringing back its bikini and burgers formula to the Super Bowl. TikTok influencer Alex Earl stars in a new commercial from Carl's Jr. promoting its new hangover burger for football fans needing to pick me up after game day. So here's the one ad. Just what you need to cure that post-party bug, Earl says, dressed in a skimpy outfit as she parades through a car wash and takes a bite of the super loaded breakfast burger. Now, I remember these these ads back in the day where it would just be like a hot girl in a bikini who takes the biggest bite she possibly could out of these triple stacked burgers and shit like that, and there would be mayonnaise and ketchup and mustard dripping all over her chin and stuff like that, and then she'd sexily wipe it off with her thumb and suck it off her thumb and stuff like that. It was incredible, absolutely incredible ads. It's so blatant that I don't know how anybody could find it offensive, because it takes it to almost parody levels. You know what I mean? But it's they were brilliant. They were super famous ads. Let's see here. Ads starring writhing models including Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian were once a staple of the fast food franchise. Yeah, I remember Paris Hilton did a bunch of them. It even put out a press release in 2011 that said, "We believe in putting hot models in our commercials because ugly ones don't sell burgers." I mean, this is common knowledge, though. I mean, the fact that this is a controversial statement, just tells you where we've been. And I say where we've been and not where we are, because clearly it is very clear that the age of woke is rapidly coming to an end. And we really are going to look back at this era of history, which is essentially the Trump era. Biden was just a glitch in the matrix that fucked everything up. But this is going to be known as the Trump era of history. And people are going to be look back at this woke mind virus shit and be like, what in the hell happened to society during this time frame? Just mass propaganda of nonsense and just contradictory, ridiculous, ideological, crazy bullshit that just somehow took over every single institution in America. From government institutions, from the Department of Education, pretty much every department for that matter, the EPA, ATF, all of them, all the way into the private sector, in every element of the private sector. And people are going to look back and just be like, how in the hell were so many people convinced to go along with this dumbass, crazy, mind-numbing shit? It'll be fascinating. I really do hope that I get to live long enough to eventually get the 20th edition of a high school history book that is revised to add a whole section about this decade, from 2015 to 2025. And honestly, it'll probably go to 2030 because, it's not going to disappear overnight. It's going to take some time to fully root it out. And it's not going to get completely, fully eradicated. I don't think that's possible to get rid of it 100%, but it'll be quelled enough where, regular normal reality will become, well, just that again, regular normal reality. And man, I look forward to getting being able to look at high school history books that teach this at, whatever they end up calling it, the era of woke or whatever they call it. And just looking, reading back and be like, wow, I remember so much of that insane mass hysteria time of my life and how I somehow managed to avoid it. Oh, man. Andrew Puzder, former CKE Restaurants chief executive, had defended the trademark commercials just months prior as President Trump had nominated him in his first term to be labor secretary. I think that any grocery store that you go into or drugstores, you're going to see on a magazine covers things that are more revealing than you saw in many of our ads. True. Just look at the cover of fucking fitness magazines. We saved the company with those ads. We saved a lot of jobs. That's true. Like they got a huge spike in business as a result of these ads. They were super famous. Everybody loved them. How it gets remembered is determined by who gets to write the books. That's true. But the thing is, it's like there will be. You do bring up a good point there, but I think that a part of writing the history will have to be like because they're talking about the abolition of the Department of Education, right? And if that happens, that means that all education will be and curriculum will be in the hands of the state, which means you're going to get all the red states are going to commission, if they don't already exist, they're going to commission history books to be written that talk about the era of woke. You know what I mean? And that's going to become standard in red states. So you're going to see a good portion of history books talk about the era of woke in the way that it should be talked about, which is essentially a giant time of mass hysteria. You're going to see that and I think that it's very likely to happen, the Department of Education does eventually get abolished. I think it does reflect a shift in how the country is feeling. Yeah, he's very correct. Tim Calkins, a clinical professor of marketing and associate chair of the marketing department at Northwestern's Kellogg School of Management, told the Wall Street Journal. Jesus, look at this. Come on. Can I not open this? Here, I'll just zoom in. Thank you, Carl. Or Hardee's, whatever the hell it's called. I approve. And it's hilarious too, because I remember back when these ads were like prevalent back, more than a decade ago. Everybody kind of made fun of them because it's like there's no way that you can maintain this kind of a body eating what she's eating in the ad. Like if you're eating these kinds of burgers, you are not going to look like this. There's no way that's happening. Right about there. Clearly, with the new administration, what is acceptable conduct is changing, and I think you're seeing Carl's Jr. jump right on that trend as one of the first brands that's really pushing the edge on things like this. No, it's smart. This is getting ahead of the game and returning to a classic ad campaign, because number one, the ad campaign already has notoriety. So just returning to it is a brilliant idea on their part. And they're trying to engage it. They're being proactive in trend setting. It's great. Like I guarantee you, Carl's Jr. and Hardee's are going to see a jump in business as a result of this. So, what the rest of that burger she ate from, right? The Department of Education can't be fully abolished. Once the Secretary's chair is made, it can only be defunded or reassigned. Well, it would need the approval of Congress, which isn't going to happen. But I think that's what's going to happen. Is just basically it's going to be gutted, and it's the scope of its of what it does can basically diminish it to the point of being useless and worthless and powerless. So it would just exist as as a vestige. But you are correct. It's very difficult to actually fully abolish it. But like he did with the what was it, the SDS, Department of Digital Services, whatever it was called, repurposing, restaffing with there are things that can be done with the Department of Education. And at this point, I feel like I think almost anything is possible. There are limitations, but we'll see. The ad almost certainly wouldn't have run several years ago when gender equality and diversity were larger focuses in American mainstream culture. Earl, who has racked up over 7 million followers by sharing her party girl lifestyle on TikTok and hosts her own Hot Mess podcast, shared the ad with her followers on Wednesday. This is the new world with new rules and new rulers. Alex Earl is a social media empress. Jennifer Tate, Chief Marketing Officer at Carl's Jr. parent company CKE Restaurants, told the Journal. Carl's Jr. is having so much fun doing things other brands are too timid to do. And that's so true, too. Like, I love the fact that she says that they're having fun doing this, because that's another thing that the whole woke culture kind of abolished across the institutions was fun. They were the fun police. I mean, we saw what happened to like the decimation of stand-up comedy and how that's like it's kind of made a comeback. But before the woke era, stand-up comedy was massive. It was huge. It's been making a comeback recently, but I mean, it basically went underground during the height of the woke era. I mean, really, it was like Joe Rogan, talking to other comedians on his show and stuff like that. Dave Chappelle actually, I think, contributed to keeping it alive in the underground, and actually, the specials he had on Netflix actually kind of helped it start coming back, essentially. But yeah, the woke were the fun police, and the fact that they say like they're having fun, not just bringing sexy back, but they're having fun doing it. It's very much a rebuke of woke culture. And it's also good to note that they're saying like this is coming from parent company of Carl's Jr., which means it's not just Carl's Jr. CKE Restaurants is basically in support of this, which means I don't know what's under the umbrella of CKE, but it means that I think there's a chance that we see a return to similar kind of, bring sexy back under the umbrella of CKE. So, beyond Carl's Jr. potentially. We'll see. So yeah, very good to see. Fun, sexy, coming back at Carl's Jr. All for it. Okay, I'm gonna skip the next thing about the sports because I can cover that next time. Okay, I'm gonna start the last few stories to wrap it up here. So, do you remember this story? I covered it back months ago. This was covered months ago, where there was a bunch of monkeys that escaped from a lab in South Carolina, and they finally caught the last 4. So authorities in South Carolina said that Friday the last 4 of 43 escaped monkeys have been recaptured after 2 months of living in the woods, weathering a rare snowstorm and being tempted back into captivity by peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. The rhesus macaque monkeys, all females, made a break for it after police say that an employee did not fully lock their enclosure at Alpha Genesis, a facility that breeds them for medical research, known to the locals as the Monkey Farm. The recaptured monkeys appear to be in good health. Alpha Genesis CEO Greg Westergaard said in a statement relayed by Yamasi police in a social media post without further details. While they were on the loose, the area saw its first snow in 7 years, accumulating up to 3 inches. The rhesus macaques made a break for it on November 6th and mostly hung around near the facility. They're about the size of a cat, weighing roughly 7 pounds. They don't pose any risk to the public health. Yeah, because they're lab monkeys, so they're like all sanitized and all that kind of stuff. Disease-free. Alpha Guard employees kept an eye on the monkeys and set out humane traps. Most were lured back with food and were given peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and quote-unquote monkey biscuits, a high-protein Purina monkey chow specially formulated for the rhesus macaques. The facility breeds the monkeys to sell to medical facilities and other researchers. Humans have been using the monkeys for scientific research since the late 1800s. The compound is about a mile from downtown Yamasi and about 50 miles northeast of Savannah, Georgia. So yeah, the saga of the escaped monkeys in South Carolina has finally come to an end. Okay. Here's a weird thing that I found. So apparently the Germans, every year, they have an annual deer calling championship. And they recently crowned a winner. So I'm just going to play this for you because apparently this is a thing. Oh, you're not going to be able to hear this because I am not over yet. No, there it is. There you go. Now you'll be able to hear it. I like how he sways back and forth as if he was like, you know, playing an instrument and trying to evoke emotion to the audience.
The stag calling for me, it's the fascinating thing is to play with the stags in the rut and look if they are coming, if they are not coming, and what they do and what they will do, and that's fascinating.
Man, he's angry. Yeah, guzzle that thing. You know, but as funny, as ridiculous as this might sound, I absolutely appreciate, you know, having passion for a hobby. And in this case, it's deer hunting. And deer calling is a part of deer hunting, you know? So I you know, I can't kid too much because everyone should have, you know, something that they aim to master. Did any deer show up? Well, I'm sure they did. Maybe not here, but but yeah, I will never mock. Like I can. I guess I make fun of it, but like I do it with a level of respect for it because I have respect for people who pursue mastery of something. German hunters tried to convince the jury at a national stag calling championship that they can imitate a bellowing red deer most realistically. The unique tradition goes back hundreds of years and was initially aimed at feigning a stag's rival during the rutting season so the deer comes out. The trick gave hunters a chance to better assess the stag before deciding whether to shoot it. The competition took place Friday at the Jagd und Hund, or Hunting and Dog, trade fair in the western city of Dortmund. There were no animals, only bellowing men wearing traditional hunter's garb, including green hats with a tuft of chamois hair. Let's see. The hunters used specially made ox horns, triton snail shells, glass cylinders, the hollow stems of the giant hogweed, and a number of artificially produced instruments to amplify the sound and resonance. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot that goes into figuring out exactly how to replicate the sounds that these creatures make. You know what I mean? Triton snail shells, the hollow stems of the giant hogweed. What the absolute fuck is that? You know? But you know what? They were searching high and low for anything that could help them produce this sound. And I say more power to them. I 100% support this endeavor. A stag's vocalization are not only very diverse, but also vary according to age, state of mind, and duration of the rut, during which they become increasingly hoarse, as well as the mood of the herd, according to the organizers. In Dortmund, the hunters were asked to compete in 3 disciplines: the call of the old searching stag, the call of the dominant male in a pack of does, and the calling duel between 2 equally strong stags at the height of the rut. The members of the jury listened with closed eyes to make sure nothing would distract them from the sound. The stag calling for me is the fascinating thing to play with the stag, said Fabian Wenzel, who won the championship. And maybe shoot an old stag after calling him. That's the biggest thing for every hunter. Wenzel, a hunter from the small village of Neulingen in Bavaria, won the title for the 5th time in a row, and will participate in the European Stag Calling Championships, which will take place in Lithuania in October. Fucking, I hope he wins. You know, like, I hope he does. I just, I have nothing for support for these dudes. I fucking love this shit. I love seeing people be passionate about things, you know, no matter how goofy it might be. You know, I think it's healthy, actually. I think it's healthy to engage in the pursuit of mastery. No matter what. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It's like everybody has their own proclivities and things that they're drawn to or they're interested in and that kind of thing. So as long as it's not like, you know, some weird, you know, domestic violence or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want any dude to go out there and become a master of domestic violence. You know? But you know what I mean? Like hobby kind of stuff. 100% encourage this stuff. I think it's cool that they actually like that there's enough dudes that are passionate about this particular thing in Germany that they've organized a whole tournament competition around it. And you know what? If I just happened to be in the area when this thing was happening, I would totally go. You know what I mean? Just to do something weird and interesting, you know? So yeah, good on these dudes. Good on them all. I love it. Okay. Final story, which was hinted at by Silent early in the stream, which is an incredible moment in history. Particle Accelerator and Artificial Intelligence offer first peek inside a 2,000-year-old Herculaneum scroll. So, I probably go as well. Grew up hunting here in Texas. Yeah, like you know what? That's the thing. It's like I came across it. I'm just like, this is so weird and out of left field for me that I'm interested. I want to see it. I want to go down the rabbit hole. You know what I mean? It's just fascinating to me. I love seeing that kind of shit. But anyway, back to the scroll. So, Particle Accelerator and Artificial Intelligence offer first peek inside a 2,000-year-old Herculaneum scroll. So, the 2,000-year-old Herculaneum scroll, buried by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, so that's Pompei, is filled with lost words that scholars can now decipher thanks to AI and a particle accelerator. This is the exact same sentence right here. While the majority of the ancient Greek text is still undeciphered, researchers have identified the words for foolish, fear, disgust, and life. The team hopes to put these words into context as they analyze the rest of the scroll's contents. The scroll, named Scroll P-Herc-172, is one of many that survived the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. The eruption spat out a pyroclastic flow of volcanic ash, toxic gases, and other materials that killed nearly 2,000 people in the ancient Roman cities of Pompei and Herculaneum, while burying thousands of artifacts, including the scrolls. The scrolls were burned and then carbonized in the eruption's aftermath. Today, they are blackened, charred, and far too fragile to open because they're like rolled up, right? So researchers are using technology to unlock their contents. A team of librarians, computer scientists, and scholars announced on Wednesday that they had successfully recovered text from the scroll, which is held at the University of Oxford's Bodleian libraries. Researchers used a synchrotron, a kind of particle accelerator, to produce high-resolution X-ray images of the scroll, and AI to detect ink on its pages. It's an incredible moment in history as librarians, computer scientists, and scholars of the classical period are collaborating to see the unseen. Richard Aubenden, head of Gardens, Libraries, and Museums at the University of Oxford, said in the statement, "The astonishing strides forward made with imaging and AI are enabling us to look inside the scrolls that have not been read for almost 2,000 years. This is true, Villain. Dude, Pompei, it's a rabbit hole that I want to go down. I've never looked into Pompei, but I saw a thread on Twitter that kind of just went through a lot of interesting things about Pompei and what we have from it. And it's incredible. It's a really an amazing, I mean, it's tragic and macabre way, but it basically froze a whole city in time. You know what I mean? And it turned a ton of people into literal ash statues in an instant. It's really creepy, but it's also one of those fascinating things that I want to go down that rabbit hole, because it seems like a really interesting rabbit hole to go down. So what they did is they excavated the scrolls in the 1750s. In the early 19th century, Ferdinand IV, King of Naples and Sicily, later gifted the scroll and 5 other scrolls to the then future King of the UK, George IV, who went on to rule between 1820 and 1830. Ferdinand reportedly gave the scrolls to George in exchange for kangaroos. Interesting trade. In 2024, researchers scanned the scroll in the UK's National Synchrotron Research Lab, the diamond light source. The synchrotron accelerates electrons to almost the speed of light, producing intense light that is 10 billion times brighter than the sun, according to Diamond Light Source. Because the light is mainly in the X-ray part of the electromagnetic spectrum, the synchrotron acts like an X-ray machine, only 100 billion times brighter than a standard hospital X-ray machine. Bodleian Libraries teamed up with computer scientists at Vesuvius College, an AI-based competition for deciphering Herculean scrolls, which used AI to enhance the clarity of the text revealed in the synchrotron scans, according to the statement. So far, the words decoded point to philosopher and poet Philodemus of Gadara, who lived from around 110 to 330 BC. The handwriting in the scroll is similar to other scrolls attributed to Philodemus, and the word foolish is characteristic of his work, according to the Vesuvius Challenge. Vesuvius Challenge's machine learning tool can detect ink, but doesn't understand language or recognize characters like ChatGPT and other large language models. Thus, humans still have to work through ink strokes that the tool finds to decipher the ancient text within the scroll. What's interesting is, so these scrolls were rolled up and charred in place. So what they had to do was like these X-rays are strong enough and sensitive enough to detect where the ink was, because the ink will leave behind a very specific trace of carbon wherever it goes on the parchment, and that carbon is preserved when it got charred. But because it got charred, you can't unroll it. This is a recreation of the scrolls unrolled. They can't be unrolled because they've been chemically, the parchment has been chemically fused in. It looks like this at the very top. You can't unroll this. It's a brick of charcoal. So what they did is, with this X-ray, they can basically detect where the carbon is in a very sensitive manner, and it's sensitive enough to know where it is on every layer of the paper. They can tell where. When one layer ends and the next one begins, essentially. And by being able to tell where the layers are and where the icons are, they can digitally unroll the scroll and line up all the characters like a normal piece of parchment, essentially. So that's what they've basically done, is they've taken these parchments and digitally unrolled them, use this hypersensitive Diamond Light Source X-ray to tell where the ink is on the page, which has basically been able to recreate what you see here with all the glyphs. And now they're using AI to essentially decipher it, fill in the blanks wherever the ink isn't there anymore, and actually try to translate the scrolls, essentially, in a large language model kind of format, which is really freaking cool that they're doing that. Now, the weirdest thing about this story that this story doesn't talk about, this is another one here, but it earned this whole project, this AI translation project of these scrolls, netted a whopping $700,000 prize for the researchers who figured it out. I don't know if it's in here. I don't think it is. Yeah, okay, so there it actually is. You see here how it's all destroyed, though. They kind of unrolled it, but it got all broken up and destroyed in the process. So this is a physically unrolled scroll, which is oof. That's kind of rough. But one of the people on the team who did this, one of the kids, is one of the kids that Elon hired as a part of the DOGE auditors. That's the weird connection here, is that the way that Elon found this kid is that he won this AI deciphering competition with these scrolls. And he hired him to work in DOGE. And he's one of the people that audited USAID, which is such a bizarre connection. But it's real. Yeah. So I don't really have anything else to say about it, really. I just think it's really fascinating how they were able to, like, again, like, there are cool and useful applications of AI, and this has got to be one of them. You know what I mean? This is such a good application of AI. Is trying to basically translating these things. Now, one of my questions is, though, because I'm kind of ignorant about AI, is like, how do we know that the translation is correct? How do we know that the AI is right? Like, I wonder if they ran it through the AI like multiple times and it came out with the same result. Because usually, if you ask this, you give an AI a task, you give an AI an identical task 3 times, it's going to give you 3 different outputs. You know what I mean? But did they feed these images or this data into the AI and it spit out the same thing all 3 times? Because that would actually indicate like an actual accurate analysis. So I don't know about that, but I think it's, I don't know. I want to err on it being accurate and actually being able to accomplish this, because that would just be really freaking cool. That's kind of all there is to it. So okay, that's pretty much all I had for you all tonight. I actually had a good bit more, but honestly, this is kind of like the amount of stuff that I want to have in the future anyway. It's this amount of stories. I don't want to spend, 4 to 5 hours on this stuff every night. I want to respect your time, and I want to respect Rose's time as well. So I'm trying to get the show shortened down a bit. So 3.5 hours is kind of, like 3 to 4 hours is like a good wheelhouse, I feel like. You know what I mean? We didn't even get to do, we're going to do a new segment, by the way. We're going to do a new segment called Clips of the Week. And what we're going to do is we're just going to show just some clips that we found, either on Twitter or YouTube, wherever, that are either really funny or really interesting or really cute or really dangerous or really beautiful. Anything. It could be anything. And we're just going to go back and forth and just, laugh and talk and whatever about, the cool clips that we found each week. And we're just going to do like 2 or 3 clips per, essentially. And we're going to do that for like the last, 15, 20 minutes or so of the show. We're going to start doing that. I think that'd be a fun way to round out the show. So that way I'm not like freaking reading constantly for 4 hours straight, Thank you, Viking. I appreciate the endorsement, my friend. I really do. I used to watch Rakita. I miss overly long streams that were never meant to be that long. Well, I don't know. Honestly, personally, if it was just me, I don't really mind. I don't really mind too much, but I also know that, like, because here's the thing, analytics are a thing, and I always notice that right around like the 3.5, 4 hour mark, especially at the 4 hour mark, the viewership starts to fall off a cliff, because people start going, they're going to bed, essentially. You know what I mean? And again, like, I don't want to sit here and be consuming people's time for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. You know what I mean? Not for a show like this, because here's the thing about when it comes to a news show, you can only absorb so much information at a time. You know what I mean? This is the reason that, like, classroom lectures, hell, even things like martial arts classes, they're typically only about 50 to 60 minutes long, and they're structured that way for a reason, because that's about the length of time that the human brain can absorb information in a real meaningful way before it gets tired. So when we're hitting that, 4 hour plus mark, the retention starts to get a lot lower. So, and with people, people go to bed and all this kind of stuff. I guess feel it's more economic to just try to keep the show to like 3.5 hours. As long as certain person keeps their yapping in control, you can easily keep the time down. Well, I mean, she's here because she yaps. You know what I mean? Like, I want to yap her. But I skipped like half of my stories tonight. Just because well, number one, because a lot of some of the stuff are stuff that Rosa specifically wanted to talk about, and I don't want to. They're not like in a particularly timely like thing that, oh my god, it's breaking news that has to be talked about right now. They're not like that. Like, I guess I can just tell you right now. Like, one of them is sports. Like, I was gonna go over like the college swimming association or whatever it's called. Like, basically saying that they're gonna renege on their, allowing men in the pool with the women, and how like football is, the NFL is ditching their end racism campaign, and that Trump is going to be the first president in history to attend the Super Bowl, which is this Sunday, by the way. I think it's this Sunday. But Rosa wanted to talk about that, so I'm going to hold that off because that doesn't have to be talked about right now. You know what I mean? Same thing, like, there's a few other stories like that. Then it's like, I want to engage in topics that Rosa is also interested in. You know what I mean? So women's physical competition is not sports. Physical competition. Is women's sports an oxymoron, villain? There's a difference between constructive yapping and ADHD ramble yapping. This is true. But yeah, that's kind of where we're going. And I did tap on another artist. I tapped another artist to try to get a background drawn for this project. So I hope I can get that, and I actually hope that this one actually follows through and gets the job done. Because the last one I hired back in, I initially hired her in November, chat. It was November when I paid her in full. And then 2 weeks ago, I got a 60% refund, because that's the max that you can get on Fiverr, that you're guaranteed on Fiverr. She says she's still going to do it, but I don't believe her. So I just found another artist, essentially. So I'm in communication with her to hopefully get an actual background done. But yeah, like the show's coming along for sure. Like I'm sure that, like, for those of you who have like been here since like when I was first doing the show, and how fucking awkward I was doing this shit, I had no fucking clue how to talk solo for a long period of time, I feel like I'm okay with it now. I feel like if I actually had an audience, which I hope I can do soon, relatively, I'm going to be getting Restream set up so that I can start multi-streaming to like Twitch and Rumble and Twitter. Hopefully that'll draw some people in, and I'm actually going to like make an actual effort to grow. And once I can get like a reliable audience, I'd like to do like just chatting streams, where maybe we like talk about, something that happened the day before or the day, that morning or something like that, and actually like do like a little miniature version of the show that can actually cover breaking news, stuff like that. And then we just kind of do like a recap on this show, on the main show. Or the fucking artist that actually delivers is hard. Oh, dude, you have no fucking idea. You have no idea how it's the biggest headache. It's the biggest headache in the community. And the thing is, it's like, I could sympathize with the artist to some level, but at some point, and I think this comes out of just being young and inexperienced with life. Like, a lot of the artists, especially in the VTubing community, they basically just got out of high school, or they're like in college or something like that. They don't have like experience having like a job. You know what I mean? So they haven't figured out like good time management skills, how to know how much of a workload they can handle at a time, and these kinds of things. that's something that you can only, that's a skill that you can only gain just by being in the workforce. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of artists are young. They don't know how to be professional because they have never actually been in professional environments before. And they basically take commissions and they take money like a job, but they still behave as if it were just a hobby. You know what I mean? And it's like you can't have your toe in both of those waters as an artist who is taking commissions and stacking up essentially full-time hours, you know, working on 2, 3, 4 commissions at a time. You know, at that point, you can't treat it like a hobby anymore. You have to treat it like a job. And when you treat, when something is a job, it comes with obligations that you don't have when you're doing it just as a hobby. And I think a lot of artists just don't understand that. And the VTubing scene, that's especially true because so many of them are so much younger. So it is kind of a pain. It really is a pain dealing with artists. I try not to dip my, I don't really dip my, I feel like I don't like it when people feel like they have to have an opinion on every fucking thing that happens. Like every bit of drama, you know, every single person that has a little bit of drama that they air out on Twitter, it seems like there's some people out there that just have to have a fucking opinion about everything. You know what I mean? And it's just like, just stay in your lane. You know, you don't have to butt in on everybody else's fucking issues. You know, like people can sort shit out without you having to chime in with your opinion. You know, you take a side and then all of a sudden there's dogpiling and there's all this other internet bullshit that gets on top of the issue at hand. And it's like, just shut up. Like let people handle it on their own, you know? Bane hurts. We're not reliable, Helmsman. The VTuber sphere artists have been given a bit too much power. I mean, yeah. I mean, they really do, because I mean, when it comes to VTubing, the scene is so reliant on model artists and model riggers, and there's not a lot of them out there, all things considered. You know what I mean? And with the background art and stuff like that, it's, you know, the creators really are dependent on artists in that regard, in the aesthetic part of, you know, of the content creation grind. And I think that goes to a lot of artists' head, honestly. I think you're right. Since they keep taking commissions and never say stop, so they juggle tons of projects, a bit here, a bit there, until they crash. Yeah, I see that a lot too. A lot of, again, people don't understand. They don't know like how much of a workload they can handle. Or the more cynical view of that is that they know that they can't handle the workload they take on, but they need the money, so they do it anyway. And I think that that's a really irresponsible and unethical. It's pretty obvious. This isn't controversial. That's just wrong. You know what I mean? Like, if you're that strapped for money, for God's sakes, go get a job. Go get a job and do the art shit in your free time. And because, again, art, pretty much anything creative, whether it comes to art or VTubing, streaming, you know, anything, really. Anything creative. It should stay a hobby all the way up until it's not a hobby. If you start doing something as, you know, and you start it as a job, then you immediately are tying your financial dependence to the thing that you claim to enjoy doing. And what you're going to find is that 99.99% of the time, your financial goals are not going to get met because you suck when you start off doing that thing. You know what I mean? That's why you just do it as a hobby at first, so that you don't have financial dependence on it. You don't have that financial stress on you, and you can just do it when you can, and you just get better at it as you do it more. And then at a point, you can start doing commissions. It's like, oh, great. I got enough commissions this last month to, you know, to pay half of my internet bill. Awesome. You know what I mean? and you just keep getting better and better and better, and then all of a sudden, oh wow, I'm making almost as much doing this art shit as I as I did do at my real job. If I quit my job and do the art thing full time, I could be making more money, at this skill level, my current skill level, than I do with my job. And at that point, you have a major decision to make, which is, when to, if you really want to be fully financially dependent on what is essentially a hobby and attaching all that financial stress to something you love to do. A lot of people fall out of love with things that they love to do because they attach financial burdens to it. And I always caution people against doing that. Sounds like high school with extra steps. Yeah, really. The amount of artists I've seen flip out when someone tells them to get a proper job. I will never have sympathy for anybody with that attitude. Because here's the thing, and again, these young artists, a lot of the reasons that they think that they just, right out of high school, I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to just take commissions, and they do it because they are terrified of that 9-to-5, that regular ass, boring 9-to-5, right? What a lot of them don't realize is that the 9-to-5 is a reliable income on a set schedule with a set predetermined workload. It's actually easily less stressful than living commission to commission. You know what I mean? And it's really good to have a job like that because it develops time management skills. It develops how to engage in professional conversation and behavior. It develops workload management. It develops stress management. It does all kinds of things that are actually really good for you to develop into being an adult. That you take those skills, then you can translate them over to your art or your creative endeavor, whatever it may be. And a lot of artists, they are terrified of that 9-to-5, and they become artists. They take on too much work. They crash out. You know what I mean? And then I always every artist should have a job first. Every one of them. It's good for you. It's good to develop that discipline. A lot of them are also socialists. That's true. They're going to be starving either way, so it makes some sense. Yeah. But anyway, okay, well, I've just gone like another 15-20 minutes just yapping about fucking artists and stuff like that. But if any artists ever hear this, eat the words. You'll do better if you get a job. You will, at least at first. You'll get a job. Once you have a schedule set up, once you know what your budget is, then once you have that figured out, then you can figure out, oh, okay, I have about, a couple hours a night, maybe 3 or 4 days of the night that I can dedicate to art. Great. So you carve out that time, and you do art in those time windows, and then once you get that built into your schedule, then you're throwing stuff into your portfolio, you're posting on Twitter and stuff like that, maybe you say, hey, I like somebody commission, DMs you, I like your work, do you take commissions and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Just be like, well, I'm not I'm not being public about it yet, but if you'd like one, I'll do one for you. Yeah, that's fine. But I don't have not until you're for a fact that, okay, it takes me about this long to do this kind of a drawing. You know what I mean? This is the kind of drawing that I enjoy doing. It doesn't cause me stress. I have versatility in what I can do with it. So if I take commissions, I can actually execute on them to a competent level, at least to a competent enough level to get paid for it. You know what I mean? And be like, okay, how long does it take me to do one of these things? And if it takes you 3 hours, it's like, okay, well, I have 6 hours a week to work on art. I have enough time for, and honestly, I would just take one commission. See how, because that's the thing is about commissions is that you have to do what other people tell you to do and not what you want to do. And that's different. That's a different mindset to your creative endeavor. So take just one commission and see how long it takes you. See how long it takes you to think through what the customer wants, you know, and do that a few times. Get used to it. And then realize, like, oh, I was able to cut out like a half an hour typically on these commissions. I feel like I can take on one more. I'm pretty sure I can. And then you do it and see where you're at. And you just slowly build. You build a workflow. You know, you build a workflow into the time you have allotted. And all that money that you get from your art is just a bonus. You know what I mean? It's just a bonus because you have reliable income from your job. You don't have financial stress attached to your hobby. And you have no idea how unbelievably useful that is to your psyche when you don't have that financial burden attached to the hip of the thing you love doing. It's big. It's major. And then time comes, and you know what? You're making, I don't know, $3,000 at your day job, and in the 9 or 10 hours that you've been able to carve out a week dedicating to art, you've been able to rack in $1,500. Look at that. What if I quit my job and added another 15 hours of work? Now I can make more doing the art than I can doing my job. And then you have a decision to make. You know what I mean? Because you have to remember that even if you can afford to do that, you're now removing reliable income. You know what I mean? You're removing that reliable paycheck that you know you're going to get, and you know how much you're going to get every 2 weeks. You know? And you just have to make that decision. And if you want to go full-time, great. And if not, that's great too. You know, just be responsible with your finances, be responsible with your time, and especially be responsible with your customers. Oh, okay. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm probably gonna post that video. That whole rant, I'm probably gonna post it. Maybe that'll be the thing that gets me going viral or something. All right, I'm gonna get on out of here. I'm gonna work tomorrow. I'm gonna spend a few hours just walking around the artist alley over at MegaCon over in Orlando in the morning. When I come back home, I'm gonna work on getting Redeem set up, more of the Redeem set up in Mix It Up, as well as I need to get another profile built and Mix It Up so I can get it working on this stream, so you guys can redeem in this stream as well. I need to do that. That's going to be tomorrow. And then I think I said that I wanted to get the streaming to the multi-platforms by Tuesday. I'm going to have to push that back a week. It won't be till the following week. Yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen soon. I'm trying, chat. I'm really trying. I'm really trying. So I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for hanging out, as always. And I'll see you on the next one, Tuesday. Take care. The watch is yours.